Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Teresa. I do videos on whatever I want because I don't like putting myself in a box. And I'm going to first apologize for this hair. Um, yeah, it's a thing. I just put it up. I realized I had to run quickly to the store to get something. And yeah, I may or may not have forgotten. It's my best friend's kid's birthday today, and I got him a gift and I needed to look for something else to like put said gift in and yeah. So, I'm off to a great start over here. Tobermate. Now I just switched this morning, just switched to just Tobermate. I'm playing around with that dosage. I'll keep you guys updated on that goes. It's been crazy weight loss wise, I will say. I actually ended up gaining like 2 pounds now. But being off of birth control right now for hormone testing reasons, it's just been a little bit crazy weight wise. And so yeah, so if any of that interests you, be sure to subscribe down below. If this video interests you, this kind of con content, excuse me, I'm a little bit of a mess on my channel. It's just how I roll. Be sure to give it a thumbs up as well. Let's get right into this. So I think the first obvious green flag in a doctor is obviously they are a very, very good listener. What was I taught in school? It was a saying on the lines of 99% of communication is listening. A lot of times in human communication, we listen to reply to people and we don't just listen to people and to actually understand people and where they're coming from, you know? And so a doctor should always be listening to you and not interrupting, obviously, and really trying to understand your concern. And I think part of good listening is also then asking questions to follow up when they aren't understanding something. And so my doctor is really, really good with this with me. And so something she will do with me now is if I'm speaking and I'm kind of slowing down, whatever, she'll just do like, okay, time out, and then try and recap what I just said. And I'm like, absolutely, what do I need to clarify for you? So that's obviously the first thing. The second thing is being a really good communicator. So this doesn't just go for you as the patient. I would say this also goes with how they communicate with the rest of your medical team. Now, most people I feel like have more than one doctor um, on their medical team. So when you have more than one health condition, a lot of times your primary doctor is the one who needs to be communicating with this person and that person, that specialist, and whatever. So they have to be really good communicators in that way as well. And they have to communicate in a timely manner too. Like this is a huge, huge thing. They need to be communicating in a timely manner as well. And so I'm so thankful for the doctor that I have because she is fantastic with this. She is also very fantastic with me when she's communicating with me. I message her more times than I probably should, honestly. It's a little sad because I do have access to patient portal, which makes it a lot easier to communicate with my doctor, and generally, if I don't hear with her within the day of sending that message, I hear back from her the next day. And I do know the times of when she's like available and when I will roughly hear back from her. And I always will hear back from her. So they need to be very, very good communicators, not just with you, but with your entire medical team if you have more than one person with your medical team. So, you know, an author, I don't even know what the word is. I Ortho is usually the shortened term, somebody who's dealing with, like, your bones and stuff. And then, physical therapist, any mental health professional, that sort of thing. Um, and super good communicators, obviously, too, with like nurses and stuff like that. Um, Unfortunately, I know a lot of nurses in my life. It's a little scary. And sometimes the nurses are not filled in on everything that's going on with the patient. And it's a lot. So, anyways, so listening, being good listeners, being a good communicator, are the first two like huge green flags in a doctor. The next green flag is that they don't dismiss anything that you're saying. I've heard way too many stories of doctors basically just ignoring what somebody is saying, and the person is getting really, really frustrated. They don't actually feel like they are being heard as a patient and that their concern is not being taken seriously. So, you don't want a doctor that's just kind of not even addressing the concern, or taking like 2 seconds to address the concern and then moving on to the next thing. Um, so yeah. The nice thing I will say is if you have a little bit more of background in the medical field, you can understand a little bit more of what they should be asking and that kind of thing. But for an average person, even like me, I have parents that teach pre-medical classes. I do have a couple of aunts. Excuse me, you guys. My nose is running. It's so cold outside. Um, a couple of aunts that don't live near me who are actually nurses as well. And I have a lot of friends who are nurses. So I can understand a bit more of the medical stuff, but um it all needs to kind of be simplified as well. And that goes back to communication. They should be communicating in a way that is easy for you to understand and digest that information as well. Because too easily they will say something that is way too big in medical terms. And it's like, yeah, I understand it. And a lot of times you want to say that just to like impress your doctor. Trust me, we all do it. You're not alone. And then in reality, it's like, I did not understand anything that they just said. So, yeah. But going back to what I was saying, you don't want somebody that's just dismissing what you're saying as well. Um, a huge green flag is if they do not discriminate against you whatsoever. As somebody who is a lesbian and who is also of color, I am very much aware of situations where people like me are very easily, again, dismissed, um, and get, I don't want to say get taken advantage of, but there are certain things that a doctor will do that they wouldn't normally do, I guess, for somebody that's straight or whatever. So there's just that if you're part of a minority group that you need to be aware of. And the sad thing is you can't really be aware of these things until they actually happen to you. Um Now the thing is I know these stories mostly from same-sex families that have kids. And Sam and Alyssa, who are on YouTube here, they had a daughter named Avery, and she was like however old kids are when they first need to go to the dentist. They called up a new dentist and they insisted that they bring in the birth certificate for the child. And they're like, that's really weird. We never had to do this. And so then one of their brothers, um, called, like, brother's wife called the dentist place, as, like, a new patient, And of course, them being a straight couple, they didn't have to do it. So being aware of things of that nature in the medical field for people like me, again, who are lesbian and even colored, can happen. Now, again, that's something totally different with a same-sex family and a child, but yeah, certain testings that like don't need to be done, I guess. I'm thinking more of the realm of just like pregnancy type of things. I do know like if you're off of birth control for a really long time and then you go back on it, it is like like it's a requirement that you do take the pregnancy test again. And I was told by a friend that to get your birth control renewed every single year, like continuing, that you would have to take a pregnancy test. But I told my friend, like, my doctor didn't do that with me, and I purposely like planned out my appointment situation so that if I did have to take a pregnancy test, that I was already at the clinic and I can just do it. And I was like, she didn't have me do it. And my friend was like, well, does she know that you're a lesbian? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, okay, well, that's probably why. So now I'm like, okay. So if you have, a doctor who's maybe like really insisting that you do this, but you're like a lesbian, I'd question that a little bit. However, after talking to a friend that's a nurse, I do know people lie all the time about their sexuality in the clinic, but you also at the same time have rights to deny something you don't want to do. So, yeah, being aware of that kind of thing is important. And I'm sure there's other things out there on the internet of like discrimination against LGBTQ patients as well that you can look into as well, because I'm not giving very good examples. So, as long as they're not discriminating against in any way, shape, or form, that's a great green flag as well, because they can also discriminate against like age as well. Which kind of brings me to the next green flag, which is if they don't blame your health conditions on like weight and age and that kind of general thing. A lot of times I hear people go to the doctor and a lot of things get chalked up to obesity and being overweight. And yes, there's a lot of information on the internet that obviously, I will admit there is proof that yes, these things can be factors in a lot of, medical conditions, but is it the sole reason to why we end up with these things? No. Um, so yeah, being aware of that is important. So if they don't, constantly, chalk everything up to like obesity, and if they aren't shoving down your throat, like, hey, to fix this chronic thing that you have, you need to lose weight, that's a green flag. I am so eternally grateful for the fact that none of my doctors, after I went through all of my precocious puberty stuff, none of my doctors ever mentioned anything about weight and was never concerned about it. Especially because like my blood pressure was really good, like my vitals are really good. And even if they aren't, like, they shouldn't be jumping to the conclusion that like your weight is a problem or your age is like contributing to it, or I don't know. The first thing I immediately go to is weight. A lot of people are just going to jump to like weight. And a lot of people are going to jump to like, you know, your lifestyle and your diet, which I was talking to somebody yesterday and I realized that, you know what? Yes, those are really big factors to it, but think about how much medication that is out there that's also probably causing weight gain as well. Tilly says something else, doesn't it? So that's another really, really green flag. And then Let me see, you guys, if there's anything else that I kind of missed. I think I kind of covered all the ones that I would say are a green flag for me. But let's quick do a little Google search. I think the last thing I would say is a huge, huge green flag is to if they're meeting your personal preferences. Um, you know, luckily mine's not too hard. I personally like to see a female doctor, especially with primary doctors. Um, that's just who I am. I'm much more comfortable with females. If it's nothing that has to do with reproductive health, I'm totally fine going to see a male doctor for like a cough or anything like that. But especially if it's a reproductive issue, then female. But I definitely prefer if I'm going to have a main primary doctor that it be female. Some people that I know go are female and have male doctors, and all the power to them. Personally, I don't understand, but I am not here to judge. All the power to them. So, um, let's see. See if this website will open. This has some red flags in it too, but I'm just gonna stick to green flags because I can't really talk about red flags because I've gotten really blessed with my medical team and have only had really good doctors. So I don't want to talk about red flags if it's something that I haven't really experienced. And so, yeah. Ooh, this is pretty good. This pretty much clears up what I said. So physician green lights. So a couple bullet points. You feel comfortable sharing with them. One of the things that I really like, which is a personal preference, is when we are both personally getting to know each other. Um, I really like that, which I thankfully have with my current doctor. And so I haven't had that with any other doctor. I feel like all the other doctors I've had, they've gotten to know me and then I've literally have not gotten to know them. So it's been great to also get to know my doctor as a person and not just as a doctor. So, just want to throw that in. They show empathy and active listening. You aren't interrupted. Covered. Covered both of those two bullet points that I just said. Your questions and concerns are fully addressed. You feel heard and understood. The order they order appropriate labs, diagnostics, and referrals that are clearly explained. Sorry, guys, I'm struggling with my words today. Uh, you feel leaving empowered with clear next steps. So yeah, and then it goes into other other ones. You know, other other red flags. So, those are some green flags. If you have other green flags that I did not cover, please let me know down below. I would love, love to know because I think it's important to get this information out there. Because I think a lot of people are just thinking, oh, well, I'm stuck with this doctor. Can't really do anything about it. Where if your need is not really being met, then you have the power to leave and to find somebody that is the right fit for you. Um, and please remember that your relationship with your doctor is just that it's a relationship with your doctor. And in order to make it work, you both have to be putting in the effort and you both have to be doing the work to get the best out of the situation, which is your health. So, I just want to leave you guys with that. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Hit subscribe down below somewhere. Not really sure where. Um, one of these days I'll know. Maybe that'll be like a 2025 goal or something. And yeah, am I supposed to say anything else? Oh yeah, the bell. Maybe we'll make it a 2025 goal to have a clear outro and intro as well. So, again, hit subscribe down below, hit the bell for notifications. I post every single weekend, and I'll see you all next weekend. Bye, guys.